Hi guys, this is Ifama Odunlami, immigration attorney from the Odunlami Law Firm in Cedar New Jersey. Our law firm serves clients in all 50 states and even abroad if you have a family-based immigration matter. So today I'm on Instagram. I like to say that because this is my third time on Instagram. So I am on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and I am on YouTube. So if you're in, come on, say hello on the chat so I know that I'm not talking to myself. And like I said, these videos I do is to educate my fellow immigrants, empower them, because when you know what the information is, it allows you to get the things you need to get done without falling afoul of wrong information. There's so much wrong information out there, and honestly, it just breaks my heart when somebody comes into my office and they are they've done something based on some information that they've been given, which was wrong, and it has now complicated their case. So it is important to me that from 2022 going upwards, going up, we're not going to be immigrants that don't know what's going on. So please feel free to share this video when you watch it, subscribe, like us, so that we are, we continue to get this information to you. I'm always trying to think of good stuff, like new information to bring to you, so that to keep it exciting, because the teaching process can be a little dreary for people who are listening. So I want to always bring new tea for you guys. So today I have a topic that is actually an update. It's immigration news, new immigration news. It's a policy update by USCIS, and it affects conditional permanent residents. So conditional permanent residents are those people who got their green cards through marriage. And because their marriage was 2 years or less at the time they got the green card approved, they get a conditional green card, which is just for 2 years. So 90 days before the expiration of the green card, they're supposed to remove the conditions so that they can get the 10-year green card, right? So now, in the past, during the Trump era, Trump had mandated, the Trump administration had required that anybody who's removing conditions from their green card would have to come for an interview, right? Another interview to look at the marriage again, to make sure it was a bona fide marriage before they got their green card. So I would say like maybe 95% of conditional green card interviews were being held, right? And this created a significant backlog in a system that was already backlogged, right? So instead of giving those 18 months extensions, I think it was last year, they said giving 24 months because it was so backed up. USCIS, due to COVID, was operating on lower capacity. And so they were scheduling less interviews, still the same amount of people applying, but less interviews due to COVID. So the backlog was crazy. So April 7th to 2022, the Biden administration is restoring interview waiver discretion to USCIS officers. And that's really, really, really great. So they're doing this in an attempt to, get some control over the backlog. So I want to talk about this. And I want to talk about what this means to those who have this conditional green card. So basically, what the Biden administration is doing is deciding that some cases will not be interviewed. Some people will not be interviewed. They will just get their green card, right? And so in the past as well, people who got their green card through consular processing were mandated to attend an interview when they got here, right? So if your spouse filed for you while you were abroad in outside the United States, and you came in with your green card, your conditional green card, you would have to go for an interview. So now this policy update says no, there's no mandatory interviews anymore. The officers have discretion. They're going to decide which cases they want to call for an interview. So what are the cases they're looking at? They're looking at cases where there's compelling proof of bona fides. If it's so clear that this is a real marriage, they won't bother calling you for an interview, right? They'll just send you your green card. I mean, that's excellent. Now, another thing they're looking at is if it's a case where there's no indication of fraud or misrepresentation, and of course there's bona fide evidence of a legitimate marriage. They're probably not going to want to call those that couple in for another interview, right? And if it's a case where the beneficiary has no criminal records, or a case that is not complex in any way, they will exercise their discretion to just waive the interview. So this is really great news for people who are in this process, because going for an interview, it can get really first of all, you're waiting for the interview date. That's another thing. So the date you get your green card is extended because you're waiting for an interview date. So now this officers can just review your file and get to you send you the green card, which means that the process will be shorter for many people. So now, what does that mean to you? What does that mean for you, the conditional green card applicant? Well, it means that you have to put your best foot forward when you file the I-751. That's the form that you need to waive the conditions. So you have to provide compelling evidence of a bona fide marriage. So assuming all the other factors are fine, like you don't have a criminal record, there's not a complex case, there's no indication of fraud. So you're in this position, you're in the best position to get yourself your green card without having to go for an interview, by showing that your marriage is real. So how do we do that? That's what I want to talk about. Bona fide proofs of evidence. So I have people come to my office when they've been denied, and then they come to retain me. And I look at what they presented to USCIS when they submitted their application. And I'm like, I'm not surprised that your case was denied. And I really believe this. I mean, I don't have proof of this, but I believe that when you submit your application, that officer already is preconditioned to decide or to think that your marriage is not bona fide. There are people who come in and they do a Stokes interview right away, which is a Stokes interview is when they separate the couples. Typically, they would do an interview with couples together, and if there's inconsistencies or there's something that comes up during the interview, they may reschedule them for a Stokes interview or ask them to ask to interview them separately. But when you come in for your interview and they separate you right away, it means that the evidence that you provided was not good enough. So if you're looking to get your green card without having to, go for an interview, you really want to put your best foot forward. And how do you do that? You want to provide compelling proof of a real marriage, that your marriage is real, that you married your spouse not for immigration purposes, but because you want to be with your spouse. At the time you married your spouse, you wanted to be with them. Whether the marriage works out in the end or not, that does not matter, but you need to show that it was a real marriage when you got into it, right? Especially for people who are filing under a waiver of divorce. Maybe they got married, the marriage isn't working out anymore, and they get a divorce. You can still get your green card, but you have to show at this point that it was a real marriage. So let's go through the facts of what you need to prove, some of the things you need to show to prove a bona fide marriage. Well, number one, I always think that if it's really helpful if you provide information about your dating, how, pictures of what you guys were doing before you even got married. That helps, especially for people who are in consular processing who may not have certain proofs. Like you're not going to have the proofs for financial commingling because you don't live in the same place. You're not going to have proof that you share a lease together because you don't live together. You're not in the same country. So you want to show evidence of the relationship before, right? You also want to show, like if you got married, you want to show, if you have things such as, the cost receipts for the cost of the wedding. If you had a wedding where there were family and friends, the cost of the ring, the cost of the hall where you had the wedding. You want to show pictures of family members. Now, this is not required. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that it's helpful. Now, a lot of people, especially during COVID, just wanted to have a little quick, small wedding because sometimes that's just what they want. And sometimes they can afford to do more than that. And that's fine. Totally. That's fine. but it means that you're going to have to bring in your other evidence in other places. So there's nothing that says if you don't give this evidence, then you're going to be denied. But if you don't have enough of one type of evidence, you want to make sure you have other types of evidence. So you want to see financial commingling is a big thing. USCIS loves financial commingling. They love to see that both of you guys have your monies together. You have a joint bank account. And I know there are people that are going to say something like, oh, we couldn't open a joint bank account because the banks would not give me, would not do that because I don't have a social security number. Listen, there are banks that will let you open a joint bank account without a social security number. You just need to find those banks. I think Bank of America is one of them. I'm not sure, but I think so. So go around from bank to bank, and you might need to get an IT number, maybe, but you can open a joint bank account. The second thing is, see, when they give you your let me backtrack. When they give you your conditional green card, USCIS is aware that you might not have as much as you would want to have in terms of bona fides because you've just gotten married. So it might be a good idea to update them, as you get more stuff. Like you move in together, you get a new lease, send an update. You have a child, send the birth certificate, don't send the child. You buy a house, you buy a car together, just update your bona fides, okay, as you go along. So let's go back to the joint bank account. It's not enough to just have a joint bank account with no money in it. USCIS wants to see that there's activity in that bank. If both of you are working or one person is working, it's nice to see that the bank account is the pay stubs are being fed into the bank account, right? They want to see that bills are being paid out from that bank account. They want to see that, and they want a bank account that is not like you only have $50 and nothing happens, no activity, that's it. So you want to have things going on in the bank account. If you have a debit card, if there are two debit cards, we want to see that those two debit cards are being used by two people, okay? So this, the financial commingling is really important. Taxes, people, don't let your accountant convince you to file separately because it's going to, you're gonna get more money back. You're married, file together. Now, I know that there are people who may not be able to file together because of some issues, such as maybe one person has a child support issue. And, if that's what it is, that's what it is. However, know that there's going to be scrutiny on your application because of that. You're going to have to explain that, and you're going to have to be able to show other proof of a bona fide marriage. So now, if you've traveled in the past, if you've traveled, gone on vacation, send a copy of, whatever, train receipts for the train or the plane, or you stayed in a hotel, send receipts for the hotel. Maybe you didn't travel. Maybe you hung out with family or friends at the barbecue. A nice picture of, you doing things with people where people know that you're a couple is really helpful. So those are some examples of bona fides. If you have stepchildren, you want to show that, you're a part of the family. You want to be able to show that you're either named as an emergency contact person in their school or their pediatrician, that kind of stuff. So hi, everyone on Instagram. I'm not quite sure. I don't think anybody is making any comments yet, but so let me see. Hash says, can you be qualified for EB5 or EB2 while in asylum removal proceeding? Hash, I do not do any business immigration law. So I would recommend that you talk to somebody who does employment immigration or business immigration. Okay. All right. And I don't do asylum anymore. So I don't see any questions. But if you have any questions, feel free to put the questions in the chat. I'm going to come and look through the chat at a later time, and your questions could be the topic of another video. But in the meantime, I just want to wish you guys a great day, and I will be back hopefully tomorrow to give you more information, okay? So basically, the good news for green card, conditional green card residents is now that there is an interview waiver discretion bestowed on the USCIS officers. So with this news, I'm going to sign off. You guys have a lovely, lovely day. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay, I'm trying